You're moving in the right directions. In terms of blogging, a lot of people start thinking that these bloggers are encroaching on the journalism profession because they also have become like pseudo journalists.
I can speak personally from that space.
Yeah.
I understand it to and fro, considering I am a professional journalist myself. I think it's more a fact of the matter that not many people understand the space, are able to play in the space conversationally, and online media in South Africa is still fairly new. You know, we've adapted a lot of trends from the US, which might not be correct in terms of the marketplace that we're playing in. The fact of the matter is that, journalism in South Africa started at a grassroots level where conversations were taking place. And that is the way blogging, in a sense, should actually be looked at. I'm a blogger myself. I've been a blogger for about 3 years now. And I think it just sorely enhances the conversation. Something that a colleague of mine in the industry was speaking to me about yesterday. He said that, in terms of online media and social media specifically, is a very pull medium. It pulls the audience in, whereas mediums like the mainstream print and radio, even television, are very push mediums. You're pushing a communication towards the consumer in the hope that they'll take it up. Whereas in social media, it's all about the conversation. It's all about engaging the consumer or gauging your market to be able to have a conversation around a particular subject.
So that's why people are not buying as many newspapers now.
I think they're just reading them online, actually.
So any publication needs to make its content available online to survive?
Yes, that, and also it engages a lot more readers that, primarily in a 9-to-5 workday, many people are sitting in front of their computers with access to the internet at work, whereas, a newspaper does take time to read. You'd rather do that over a cup of coffee in the morning, and not many people might actually have that time in the morning to read a newspaper. Hence, they catch, the latest headlines online. Many of our really great newspapers have made their way online and are doing phenomenally well online as well.
Sometimes I think people need to slow down. Now, as content manager, you must be bombarded with a lot of content. How do you sift through all of this information to choose the kind of information that you think is suitable for your consumer, for lack of a better word?
I think a lot of my journalism skills, and I owe Rhodes University ample kudos for a great degree, has allowed me to be a good news taster when it comes to searching for news. But there are tons of useful online media tools that also aid that. One of them being something called Really Simple Syndication. The shortened version is RSS. An RSS reader helps people to digest websites and website subscriptions a lot easier than a good old email can do. And a lot of people have taken up RSS feed subscriptions in order to be able to digest the latest content at their disposal.
What's your comment in as far as the broadband quality that we have in the country, looking at the successes of MySpace, Facebook, and so forth?
I don't exactly think the quality is bad, considering that we are in the third world and that, in terms of infrastructure prior to, the democratic government, the quality has definitely kept on par with what South Africa can offer on the African continent. However, the offerings are really expensive. Telkom does hold a huge stakehold when it comes to telecommunications in the country at the moment. And, I've heard whispers of a 4 megabit line that some Telkom consumers have actually been able to access. However, I don't know whether the quality of the infrastructure matches the kind of speeds that would be needed in terms of new IPTV projects that Telkom is, for example, wanting to play in that space. So in terms of the broadband, I think we've just come into the era where we were working on, giving access to enough people in South Africa. The next step is obviously being able to speed it up so that people can access content as fast and maybe on par. We hope by 2010 this is true, on par with nations like the US and the UK.
Mobile users, are they also going to be part of this digital excitement?
Oh, of course. The mobile market in South Africa is more extensive, I would assume, than the internet market, solely because more people have access to, mobile handsets and cell phones. I can definitely tell you that sites, for example, mobile social networking sites will definitely be a huge thing. We've already seen Mixit take off as a conversational platform for people in terms of instant messaging. I think the next step will be that mobile social networking will be the next step in terms of giving people more access to different applications that they can use along with instant messaging to keep into contact with people.
Anything coming out of Google?
Oh, yes. Google South Africa actually had a exclusive function, which unfortunately I wasn't privy to at the end of last year. Google SA is launching some big things in the first quarter of 2008. Something that developers and open source gurus can be excited to look out for is Google's open source mobile platform called Android that is going to, in Google's words, replace mobile operating systems, for example, Symbian on phones, in order to make greater access to the applications across mobile models or mobile brands, for example.
So you could be sitting in a bus and be chatting to a myriad of people.
Exactly. And you'd be able to network, say, for instance, a Nokia, Motorola, and Sony Ericsson all at the same time.
Yeah. These things are going to start talking about themselves before we say anything.
Well, Mandla, I don't know whether you're familiar with the example in the Transformers movie where the Nokia turns into this mega robot that's, about to annihilate Earth. I'm hoping we don't get to that stage. I'm hoping that humans can still control technology. However, yes, technology is definitely ever-changing, and it's changing at such a steady pace that we need to keep up.
Australia is already full. Where would I run to now when this happens? But by the sound of it, there's so much that if you already are a digital fundi, you're rubbing your hands together in anticipation for. But then on the flip side of that, if you are slowly getting into this business, there's so much to absorb.
There is, and I think that's where community aggregation sites and social bookmarking sites become useful. Because if you're a new player in the game, it doesn't mean that you have to essentially start from scratch. I think it's just a matter of educating yourself as to, what's in the space, how you could take part in playing, and what to look for next. And good sites in South Africa to keep an eye on is obviously muti.co.za. That is the South African equivalent to the well-known sites like Dig, Reddit, and Delicious, for example. One could actually utilize other people's, saved sites, for example, to be able to learn more about an industry. So, for example, if someone wanted to learn more about the social media marketing space, they'd find my Delicious account, for example, and go through some of the websites that I've bookmarked to be able to educate themselves further.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Muti.co.za, and there are no hertz there, just megabytes and kilobytes. Teshanta, thank you for joining us. This is fascinating. I mean, I'm going to go on to Muti and, start teaching myself, because there's a lot some of us need to learn. But, thank you for opening our eyes and making us aware as to where the digital environment is going to go and how to really navigate our way through it. It's not as overwhelming as it sounds.
Oh, thank you very much for having me on board.
Thank you for being with us. Teshanta Naidoo, she's the content manager of Cerebra. Obviously, she's a journalist as well, so that means look out for what she's got to say. And, of course, be a blogger. If you've got something to share, please do.